Hi, let's see the application I made by APP designer on MATLAB here. So it's called BrainQ. Basically, it's the extension application of the Zafiro, which is developed by my supervisor Samsa, and because it is in my application doesn't use the calculation power of GPU, so the inverse part of the calculation, especially the leading field, is not included in my application. And although I did the whole course related to that and the implementation on Samsa Zafiro, which is written also in my master thesis, it's a pity I only include the pre-processing here with the signal processing techniques and the functional analysis techniques, which can also trace back to the study in my bachelor time. And then here we also have the data analysis and the machine learning skills using to visualize and to evaluate our inverse results. So the data basically is collected. The data was collected by the Münster, the institution in Germany, and as you can see later, there are two types mixed together, so the MEG and EEG. As the superficial signals are usually well studied with the EEG data, the MEG signals is more well known for its robustic to the noise. So here we have both types of them, and in my application, the data processed by into the mat form. Here we use the data 1 and the data 2. The first one is the result with the IES map inverse method, and the data 2 is only related to central central estimator, not the maximum priori estimator. And because I don't have the power of the GPU included, it's really slow. And later, I guess the GPU power will also be added on to my application. Now let's try to check the MVAR coherence by the transfer matrix. And as you can see here, the time windows I chose are basically 4 batches from 0 to 60 and 0 to 120, 0 to 200 and 0 to 240. And here is so like the transform coherence matrix can show the different coherence between the time windows for example, if you can see here, the lighter color shows the higher value of the coherence, and as you can see, so it's basically if we check on the whole time domain, the highest coherence appear on the 200 channel, and also the 150 channels between the 3B, 3A, and 1. This can be also, you can choose the threshold to show whether the you want to visualize the coherence between these channels. And now we can also calculate the best order of our coherence we want to choose, and it is 4 in our case. Then if we use the grandeur prediction to approximate the coherence, we can see the results in this way. There are two forms of it. One is discrete and another form is continuous. And I also show them in different power spectrum. So if you check from here, you can see the coherence completely, but the information sometimes is the bi-direction. But of course, like here, you can also see it might not be that symmetry strictly. And then about the spectral analysis, first we apply it on the sensor cross spectrum, and if it is shown in the time window of the block by 50 milliseconds, here you can see the cross spectral is showing here, and the signal to noise level is also plotted in the spectrum method way, and so it is also apparent, like at first, usually at the largest, at the smallest frequency, then it goes the highest with more information are useful. And so if we then let's try to check our result of our inverse analysis. Because here my application do not use this GPU, so let me just show still the smaller data set first. And here we usually first apply the outlier detection to the data sets, and so if we choose this smaller data set, which is around like 100 data samples, and here you can see, using the gradient method, those below the 0 can be chosen as the outlier here, and those above the 0, the gradient, are the data sets we will keep. And it's is the index will be stored in the SVM vector, and we will finally use them to do the evaluation. And first, now let's still see the scatter plot of them, grouped by the different dimensions. So if for theta 0 here, as you can see, those plots are divided into these two groups with different value of the theta 0, and basically they grouped they are at the around the 0 location difference, which has good it shows the small error, but however the angle difference are quite large, especially for the one with the parameter with 10 to 5 power. It's also written in the article. And for the hyperprior we use, the inverse gamma also gives us basically better results. And for the noise we implied, actually we finally found the low level noise basically give us better results generally. So, and now let's try to see the evaluation of our final results. So now, because it is out of memory again, then let's just try to use. I will try to show you the part from here directly, because of my laptop is not equipped with the large CPU, and it works well on the university laptop. I have a university computer. So basically this process is not that hard to understand. And I also studied it from one website tutorial of that object function. And here actually you can choose different model if you want to construct with different results. And like the kernel can be the RBF and also Gaussian. So here I just choose the box constraint, and so after first building the model, then we fit it with our training data with the cross validation of 5k-fold, and then for the test, we apply it on the whole whole data set, because our data set is quite small for the central estimator. So here I recommend to use the k-fold. If you don't want to use it, it's also fine. And then finally we can map it onto the hyperplane using the support vector. So this is basically how it works. And because we want to use it on our small data set, and if I remember correctly, the feature feature taken by the last time by the sequential forward method is the second, third, and the fifth dimension of our dataset, which is the angle difference and the location difference, and also the theta 0. So here, if we input the features here manually and then check the set the training data as because it's from the application, so it is automatically transformed into the APP structure. If we use it by ourselves, we do not need to set it in this way, but because I'm using the code from my application directly, so here I will just still build it in the structure, and so let's try to see how it works. It should work because now it's not running from the whole application. You can also find the function version of this of the important part inside on my GitHub. It's called BrainQ. It's called the BrainQ, and the application version is called BrainQ 2. So here now let's just try to wait for the results. Here comes the result as the summary report. So at every iteration, it gives us the scale it chooses and the final calculation results of the objective function. So here we have our final results here, and although because it's a small data set, so our accuracy is actually quite low here, which is really not so satisfactory. And the objective function value is around 0.37, and the time is also here shown, and so here we can see the best points are shown here, like the minimum value is when our minimum observed is estimated one has the best one here, which is the same as our observed value. So you can then the whole iterations included is 32, and then here finally we have our points onto the whole hyperplanes, because it's really not the data sets are not separable linearly. So as you can see here, we have the support vectors not linearly separated, and that's why the SVM also should work better than other like linear classifier. For example, the linear analysis, discriminant analysis, the KNN, or some other, for example, like networks, then we might need some many layers. So basically that's why I chose the SVM for our result. And also because we have like many dimensions for our data set, so also chosen the features before that using the sequential function method is also very important. Basically that's all. I am also trying to do one trying to map the features onto the header model using like the non-negative matrix method, which I can also have some results later. Thank you.